Good Thursday evening, friends. I'm Joe Gillaway, and along with my partner, Bill Bostic, we welcome you to This and That, the podcast. Hi, Bill. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing fine for a Thursday night. Looking forward to the end of the week and some rest, but I'm doing fine.
Are you going to get some rest, or are you just saying that?
I'll get some.
Okay. Now, Bill, you know this by now, but I'm just going to remind you and the people. This is the People's Podcast.
Yeah.
And you want to know why it is, Bill?
I've been wondering why. Well, why is it, Joe?
Well, we kind of let the people get involved a little bit. Okay. We, of course, have the comments, the live comments during the show, but I'll put out a post here and there looking for a guest or looking for somebody that fits this mold and to bring on the show. So, we're not just sitting around in a cave somewhere, just coming up with all the content and without any care or concern for the people. Okay. So that's why it's the People's Podcast. And what episode number is this, Bill?
This is number 15, Joe.
All right, 15. Bill, you're on fire, man. Okay, so let's thank our sponsors. We have the American Legion, Post 272, Rickabaz Electric, Team PA, AAU Basketball, and Be a Hero, Hire a Hero. Thanks to these great local businesses for their continued support of This and That, the podcast.
Absolutely.
How about our disclaimer, Bill?
Yeah, we need to do that in case we slip up and we don't have any legal trouble.
We've been working together for probably overall, I don't know, 4 years overall.
I lost track. There was a big break there.
We've done a lot together, and we've never really had to use the disclaimer statement. But just in case, the views and opinions expressed on this show are those of the participants who voice them and do not necessarily reflect the positions held by This and That, the podcast, as an entity, Bill or myself, or the sponsors who support the show. Okay?
Yeah.
And how about upcoming on This and That, the podcast? Next Thursday, the 24th, we have Julie Walker from the Peyton Walker Foundation. That's big news. That's awesome news. Then the following Thursday, the 31st, we have our first segment, our first episode of You Do What? And You Do What? It's a kind of a spotlight of local people in our community, the greater Harrisburg community, who earn a living in kind of oddball, off the grid ways. They pay their bills in a different manner than most of us. They're not clocking in and clocking out. They're not sitting in a cubicle.
Got a question for you on that, Joe.
Yeah.
With those guys who usually on the weekend travel around their pickup trucks, picking up junk in front of people's houses, would that qualify? And they try to recycle it.
If that's how they're paying their bills, if that's a kind of like a more than just a hobby. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So then we have on the first You Do What? We have people that they farm in their basement, Bill. They grow microgreens. Okay. They live right in Lower Paxton Township. They grow microgreens, which they sell to local restaurants.
I have a neighbor that you're talking about growing things. Every night they have on the second floor bright lights in this one room, and my wife and I swear they're growing marijuana.
Well, so maybe they are.
That could be one we could talk to, knock on their door, and see if they'd talk with us about that.
I forgot to throw that one up. There's Julie. We like Julie. Julie's she's a recurring guest. So that's next week. And then the following Thursday, which is August 7th, we get into August. We're going to have some folks from the Steelton Borough. We have three borough council members, along with the mayor and the police chief. And we're just going to talk about some things that are going on down. Steelton's struggling in some areas. Okay. I don't know how else to put it. Some of the struggles are not any different than other municipalities and boroughs and township struggles, but some are different. Some are directly tied to poverty and the effects that poverty can have on other areas of people's lives. So, and we care about Steelton. I love Steelton, and we want to try to, nobody has a magic wand, Bill, of course.
No.
But, we want to try to, shine a light on what's going on down there and see if we can help create some things that people could maybe start to do as solutions. I don't know. I'm sort of stuttering that out, but I don't want anybody to think that we have like all the answers or even some of them. But we have the people in place that are definitely worth talking to. Thursday, the 14th of August, we have 3 school board members, Central Dauphin school board members, Janelle Bingaman, Lauren Silvers, and David Dorneman. That'll make 6 total CD school district guests out of 9. Then we'll have the other 3 that, as long as they're willing to come on, we'll have them maybe a month down the road, Bill. And then Wednesday, the 20th. Okay. This is, I'm excited about this one.
Oh, yeah.
WKBO. And I think we're up to about 7 or 8 confirmed guests. These are radio jocks, DJs, on-air personalities, mostly from the 70s.
Yep.
Some of them started down there in like the early to mid 70s and maybe till the early 80s. So Dan Steele, Slim Jim Buchanan,
Neil Howard.
Is Neil coming on? Do we have Neil?
He sounds like he is.
Yeah, that's right. We have Neil Howard. That's what we just confirmed him. Thank you, Bill. And then a couple other John St. John, Rick Shockley. I mean, if you grew up in this area, you probably remember those names. And that's about it. We mentioned on your show on the Lingelstown Gazette edgy news that Coons Pool, and I don't want to get into this too much, but they're still working on that situation down there, folks. Don't expect them to open this season. They want to open. There's a good chance they won't. So, but they care and they want to open when they're ready, when the pool's prepared. Right, Bill? Is that a good way of putting it?
Yeah, it sounds like they may have nailed down what's wrong with the pool.
Okay.
Now they got to raise some money to fix the pool.
Well, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
And then the last thing, Bill, is, and I mentioned this also on your Lingelstown Gazette edgy news show, but there's an ordinance that was going to be voted on down in Highspire, and it was going to ban people from playing on public areas in Highspire other than like the park, meaning they couldn't hopscotch on the sidewalks, they couldn't pass baseball or football, and like this stuff that we all did, like you and I and everybody watching this show. This ordinance was brought up, and they were going to vote on it, and I got to the bottom of it, and it's going to be squashed. Okay, they're not going to even bring it up to vote. I left messages for the Highspire manager and the mayor. The mayor called me back, and he said it's done. So anyway,
that's good.
I haven't seen anything out there that kind of squashed it. Like I just squashed it. So all right. So and listen, what we want to do, and we're going to show you who our guest is here. Maybe I should have done that a few minutes ago, but that is Tamara Willis, Dr. Tamara Willis. She's we love educators on this show. She's the Susquehanna Township School District Superintendent. And we're going to talk about a handful of things. But I would say, maybe the main thing we want to talk about is there's a vote coming up in November. They're trying to raise the funds through tax dollars to build a new school. And I don't want to misspeak here. I just want to kind of speak generically and let Dr. Willis, get down to brass tacks on it. But we're going to go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, I was just going to say, and the other thing is, don't run away after this. We're going to be talking a little bit more in depth about Lingelstown Gazette, edgy local news. Going to share some information for the first time that hasn't been out there publicly in terms of what we're doing. So
that sounds hang edgy, in there. Bill.
Yeah, absolutely.
That sounds pretty edgy, dude. Edgy local news. Okay, so all right, let's bring in Dr. Tamara Willis. We had a chance to meet her just a few minutes ago, and pleasant woman for sure, Bill. I'm glad that we had a chance to meet her. Besides having her on the show.
Okay, open the door and let her in.
Open the door and let her in. There she is.
Hello.
Hi, Dr. Will. Hi again.
Hello.
I told you we wouldn't forget about you, right?
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're excited. I think we kind of booked this show a few weeks ago, and I've been looking forward to it ever since. I really have. And like I said to Bill, we love educators on this show. We had some other some other friends of ours that are in education on the show not long ago, and they all kind of. I'm going to start at the beginning of your beginning, okay? Before we get into the need for the building
Yes.
and stuff like that, because I want people to know, you know, where you came from as far as being in education. Can you tell us a little bit before we get started, or as we get started?
Yes.
Your upbringing. Has education
Absolutely.
always been important to you, to your family, in your household growing up?
Absolutely. It was actually, we saw it growing up as a way to change our lives. It was always something that our family supported. I actually grew up in Harrisburg. And
Okay.
so we went to the city schools, and we weren't a very wealthy family, but we always saw education as an opportunity for us to improve our lives. And so it was actually no surprise that I entered into education as a profession. So I've been a classroom teacher. I was an elementary school teacher. I've been a special education teacher for most of my teaching career. I've come up through the ranks as a building principal. I've been assistant superintendent in York before coming here to Susquehanna Township, where I was also assistant superintendent for about 2 years. After about 2 years, the superintendent left, and I took the seat in 2017-18.
What did your parents
Wow.
do?
Well, my mother worked in food services, and my father worked in construction.
Okay.
So he was the guy that was out on the roads during the early hours with the flags and
Okay.
all the, yeah, that's what he did.
Right. I had.
Could you-
Working people.
Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, I was going to say, one of the things I like to learn is, I know you have to do take extra classes, maybe get extra degrees to become a superintendent. Could you
Yes.
briefly tell us what's involved from making that transition to being a classroom teacher to moving eventually into a superintendent's position?
Sure. You're required to get, first of all, you have to have a minimum of 3 years teaching, actually, no, 5 years. 5
Okay.
years of teaching in order to become a principal. That requires a special certification. And typically that's, you usually will get your master's degree, and then you'll sit for an assessment, a state assessment, to get your principal's license. Then there are additional credits and classes that you have to go through. That's about a year-long program to get your letter of eligibility. That allows you to become a superintendent and or assistant superintendent. And then there's also an assessment in order to get that credential as well. So lots of tests,
Okay.
lots of schooling. I've been in school for about 11 years total.
Lots of
Okay.
dedication.
Yes.
Lots of dedication, right?
Yes.
You can't just sit by and let all that stuff happen. That's for
No.
sure. Well, we had who I was referring to, and I forgot to mention their name. We had Eric Terman and Dr. Travis Waters on the show,
Yes.
6 or 8
Yes.
weeks ago, Bill. And
Yeah.
Travis is a friend of mine.
Yes.
He's on another show that I do.
Yep.
Bill,
What's that?
we have
It's my
music
phone.
playing.
It's my phone.
You
There we go.
all right? Yeah. So yeah, and the three of your stories, as different as they all seem to be the same. Where
Oh,
you just
yeah.
got to keep grinding away, you know, and in the end, if you have a plan and you stick to it, you probably can end up accomplishing what you hope to.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's ask you this before we get into the kind of the meat and potatoes. When you took over Susquehanna Township, I mean, there was probably, I don't know how many different issues you had to deal with or you wanted to kind of help solve, you know.
Sure.
What were kind of the big couple, 2 or 3? You know, we know that you probably needed a new building even back then, right? Or did this just start?
Actually, no. We actually were experiencing some declining enrollment when
Okay.
I came on board. There was about, the district had lost about they lost about 500 or so students, 400 or 500 students over time. And that was one of the major issues. There had also been a lot of turnover at the superintendent level. So there were about 6 superintendents from the time I was assistant superintendent for 2 years until I actually took the seat. There were also a lot of challenges with teachers leaving the district as well. So there were a number of budgetary issues that were coming up, In fact, when I took this seat, we had a report from Public Financial Management that said the district, if it remained on its financial path, would be bankrupt by the year 2018, 2019. So we came in with a lot of work to do.
So you survived that, and it's been years now. I just, for those at home that don't know, I'm just going to read this. This is something that I pulled off the internet, but I'm pretty sure it's true. Susquehanna Township School District has experienced stop me if I'm wrong, a significant enrollment increase in recent years, growing from 2,600 to over 3,100 students in the span of 8 years.
Yes.
This is a 19% increase. That's huge.
Yes.
I mean, that's huge. Yeah. And I mean, I can't understand how else, and we will get into that, maybe not this second, but how else besides creating more space you accommodate those kids? Is there another way? I mean,
no, especially given some of the constraints that we have in our districts. The township alone is 17 square miles, and we're very dense. So there is not a lot of space in terms of land that is available, buildings that are available even to expand. So yeah, we've got quite a few constraints, which is why we have 20 modular classrooms, or like trailers, in the district housing some of our students.
Yeah, call them what they are. They're like trailers. I mean,
they're trailers. Yes.
I don't want people to think, well, a modular classroom, that sounds nice. It's not nice.
No, they're trailers.
Yeah. So just you have 4 buildings currently in the township, right? You have the high school, you have the middle school, you have Holtzman, and then Sarah and Linda Muth Carter.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So you're looking to add a 3rd elementary school.
Correct.
Has any thought been put into buying an existing building, maybe something that's close to turnkey? Has that been an option?
Absolutely. So I will just say that we've been on this journey for 7 years. And we knew that we started to see the increase right around 18, 19. And it just exploded as the township brought in more development in terms of housing. And so we have explored land that has been in the district. Again, a lot of that is no longer available. We have explored empty buildings. So we actually just settled on the Deer Path property. It's at 4401 Deer Path Road in the township. We're actually going to be using that building to temporarily house grades 5th and 6th. It is not a long-term solution to deal with the growth, but it is going to allow us to do a number of things. First, remove the trailers at our Thomas Holtzman building, which is grade 3 through 5. And then once we get a new building on Stanley Drive, which is 42 acres that we were able to purchase, we will use the Deer Path property to bring some programming that will generate revenue for the district.
Okay.
And then our district offices will also be there because we've also outgrown district office. So
for those unaware, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you're coming from the river, from uptown Harrisburg,
yes,
into Susquehanna Township, this is the building on the left before the township building where the police station is, correct?
Correct. It used to be the old United Concordia building.
Right. Okay. That's what I thought. That's a nice building.
It is very nice.
It doesn't look like it's in disrepair or anything.
No.
Everything needs like customized no matter what. Okay.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, absolutely. And so one of the things, I know there's been some conversation about why we just can't purchase office space. There are quite a few regulations that the Department of Education places on schools and school construction. So there are square footage requirements. There are land development requirements. So you have to have a certain amount of green space. There are a number of code issues that you have to have in terms of zoning for buses. So it's not as easy as buying an office building and sticking students in it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So I brought you to the doorstep here of discussing this, this new building. I didn't know that you had the land. You said you have 42 acres already that the township, or the school district has invested in. And the way I'm going to set this up is, why does this have to go on as a referendum, on the ballot as a referendum? Like, I'm a little more familiar with Central Dauphin School District, and I've seen them kind of throw the gloves on and go at it. Like
Mhm.
the taxpayers, they do want to support this and they don't want to support that. But in the end, it's the school board who has the vote. Why is this out of the school board's hands and has to go to the taxpayer or the voters? I'm sorry.
Yes. So the earned income tax for a time in the early 2000s, school districts had the authority to simply raise the earned income tax. And that is essentially a payroll deduction that is levied on every resident who earns wages and lives in the township. That window has since closed. And so as a very small township, start with the township and district because we're one and the same, we cannot rely solely on real estate property increases in terms of their taxes to offset the debt that we will acquire to erect a new school. Mm-hmm. So we could continue to raise property taxes, but our school district is not large enough, even if we did that, to offset the cost of that debt for a new building. So the only way that we can fund a new school is if we rely on earned income tax increases. And so we really believe it's a fairer way to tax across the township. And I can get into that a little bit later. But essentially, we no longer have the authority to just raise the earned income tax.
Right. Okay. Bill?
Yeah.
Yeah. With the tax situation, I think I read that if you go with the earned income tax, that your occupation tax will go away. Is that how that works?
It will. Yeah. That is correct. So currently, everyone has to come up with about $344. $270 of that goes to the school district, and that is across every resident.
And your accountants or your financial advisors, are they able to project what kind of money you're going to get through the earned income tax for you?
Yes, we're looking at between $3 to $3.5 million in those initial years from the earned income tax increase. That's important to know because we're going to acquire debt of around $4 million.
Okay.
In order to build a school, yes.
Let me.
This issue actually came up last year and was voted down. Is that correct?
We missed it by 19 votes.
Oh wow,
okay.
That's incredible.
1,000 votes. We missed it by 19.
Oh man, that had to be deflating.
It was.
Here we go again, right?
Yes.
Let me read this and make sure you have your thicker skin on for this.
Sure.
And you know me well enough just by watching me online and stuff that this is going to be respectful. But this is from a taxpayer, a community member who I believe supports what you're trying to pull. Okay. Mm-hmm. But he said, he's a friend of mine. I know him very well. He said, for the Susquehanna Township Superintendent, why the semantics with calling the occupation tax a nuisance tax?
Okay.
Why not call it what it really is without the deceiving embellishment? Mm-hmm. It is a tax increase for anyone making more than $45,000 per year. You can lose trust in leadership when this deceptive wordplay is being used by saying you are eliminating the annual school occupation tax and shifting it to the school earned income tax. Do you follow that with what he was saying?
Why use the term nuisance?
Well, that's one of the questions. Yeah. Okay. He thinks that it was just like wordplay that was going to maybe make things believe that the tax is something different than it actually is.
Okay, so let's talk about the term itself. So it is a nuisance tax. Like that is a term that is used to describe the occupation tax. Okay. On the ballot, we use the word occupation tax. Like the question itself has occupation tax.
Right.
In terms of EIT, I'll need to hear that again. I'm not sure. Maybe you can rephrase that portion of the question.
Well, he says that it's no, I don't think I got to lose trust in leadership when the deceptive wordplay is being used by saying you are eliminating the annual school occupation tax and just shifting it to the school earned income tax. Like basically the tax is probably going to be close to equal amount, only under a different kind of terminology.
Okay, so basically, let's just say that is exactly what we're doing. So what we're saying is accurate. I think where people have an issue or where people are concerned is that depending on your income, it could actually be more than the 270 that you would have paid. That is
Okay.
true.
Okay.
And I think that's probably, I'm thinking that's what he's asking. So currently, no matter what your income level, you pay the flat $270 a year.
Okay.
What that does, though, is it actually places an undue burden on people who, let's say you make $5,000 a year. That is a very different burden when you compare it to someone who makes $60,000 or $70,000 a year. And right now, everyone pays that. When you shift to the earned income tax, it's based on, as it says, your income. We also believe, though, that it's fairer because we're currently relying on real estate tax increases. That is the only tool that we have in our toolkit to fund the schools. That's it. And so when we think about earned income tax, you could actually have one residence that provides real estate taxes once a year, right? As opposed to that same residence, you could have 10 people in that residence who are earning a wage, and they are now going to be a part of that tax, as opposed to just the district receiving that one real estate tax every year. So if you think about how the burden is more spread out to all earners, that in our minds is a fair way to do it, because right now the burden is on our property owners. And a lot of them are citizens, and we just don't want to tax them out of their houses. And earned income tax is not going to be taxed. If you're receiving pensions, that is not subject to earned income tax.
Okay. All right. It sounds like you have a very good grasp on it. And let me just say this, Bill, and I'll turn it over to you. Again, this is somebody that had this question that I believe is going to vote yes for it. Okay. I think the question he was asking was more to address it for the viewers. He understands what's going on. He's pro education. He's pro, let's get the kids out of the modular classrooms. But he just wants to make sure that it's clear to the taxpayers exactly what they're being asked to do. Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, I was just watching the comments. I want to say good evening to Kirby Lentz. He said hello to me there. But anyways, one person wants us to back up for a second and
let's do it. That's what we're here
Dr.
for.
Wilson,
Give us let me just say this, Bill. We are going around I'm going around and speaking, me and my team, to every ward in the township. We're talking to all 9 wards because we want the tough questions. So go for it.
Well,
Bill, and I want to mention this, Bill, and then turn it over to you. Dr. Willis reached out to me. Okay. Yes. I want to be clear about that. I had that written down on my notes and I forgot to mention it. She asked me, would you be able to provide me a platform so I can explain to the voters, to or it wouldn't be constituents, but to the residents, exactly what's going on here. So I respect you for that. Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, this is the same question I had. I didn't get a chance to ask her earlier, and that is what, as far as you know, what caused the population in recent years to go up to the point where you have a need for a new building at the elementary school level? Do you have any idea where it came from?
Yeah, I think, a number of things. We are the most diverse school district. We're vying for the #1 spot in the Commonwealth. And according to niche.com, we are the 3rd most diverse in the country. So we have a lot of families that move into our district because we are so diverse. We have graduates that come back and say, I'm so glad I went to Susquehanna Township because I have friends who were not prepared for the real world. Well, you get that in Susquehanna Township. The other reason is because the township continues to develop. And so we have a lot of new housing that's popped up and people are choosing to live here. So yeah, we're excited about it, but it does come with challenges.
Well, Bill, you want to keep reading these when you're done with that question? You want to keep reading some of these questions while we're here, while we're on it?
Well, I know Ashley Zink has a question here, but I'm having a hard time unpacking it because she's comparing earned income tax that's coming into Cumberland Valley to yours, and I just don't know if we can address that tonight as far as how it all compares.
What do you think the question is? Because that is a question we've answered multiple times as well.
I'll read it. It's only a few sentences. The This is Ashley Morrison
Well,
Zink. The
long
proposed
sentences.
earned income tax rate for Susquehanna Township will essentially be the same as Cumberland Valley School District, which is a much more high-performing school district in terms of teacher qualifications, AP classes, sports, music, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes, yes.
Does Dr. Willis earnestly believe that raising the tax rate will produce other positive effects? This is a good question.
Yes.
Other than just a building, which in and of itself is not a predictor of student success. And that's a great question. Go ahead, Dr. Willis.
I like that question. I'm glad she asked it. Essentially, yes, I do believe it's going to have additional positive outcomes. And I'll give you some very concrete examples. There is a national teacher shortage. And so currently we have anywhere between 25 to 32 children in some of our classrooms. And so if you're looking at attracting teachers, if I have the choice to go to a school that has updated facilities and I can teach 20, 22 kids in a classroom, where do you think I'm going to choose?
Mm-hmm.
Where do you think I'm going to go? Also, we've had teachers, and I always choose this one in particular, we just lost. We always do exit interviews. And we ask, hey, what can we do going forward to improve the experience of other teachers coming in? Two things she mentioned. There are too many kids in the classes, and you need to update your facilities. Mm. And so they draw people. We also know that high turnover and really large class sizes do affect achievement. When a teacher is not able to work with individual students and give them what they need because there are just too many kids in a room, that does affect some of those academic outcomes. So I'll give you an example of what we're doing for next school year. We're hiring what we're calling floating teachers, but we don't have classrooms to give them. We don't have the space. So those teachers are going to be pushing into our existing classrooms that have 28 and 32 kids in there. And they're going to be trying to break down some of those groups on an instructional basis so that we can improve the instruction one-on-one or small group. So yeah, there are positive outcomes beyond just a building that we're going to see and that we hope to see because we have the space and we're providing a better and more competitive learning environment, not just for the students, but for our teachers.
Great question. Great answer.
Yeah.
And that all makes a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. I mean, that is kind of like 1 and 1 equals 2, you know. Mm-hmm. Elise Lamel, Dr. Willis, let's go. That's her comment. She's shouting you out. She's tuning in. And then another question by Ashley Morrison Zink. Why did the population grow that much? Is there any high density housing or?
I think I answered that earlier. Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot more housing that's coming in. That has come in. The Enclave on Elmerton Avenue. That's a housing development. There was Maplewood off of Thea Drive. That's still building. We have Union Green. There are apartments, townhouses, and single family homes there. And the township is also entertaining some additional development. So we're not stopping by any means in terms of our growth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bill, did you have something? there's like 2 more questions here. I'm gonna keep reading if you don't have anything right now.
Yeah, go ahead. Let's go through the questions.
This is Chris Morris. The highlight should be that the people that willingly chose to not pay the occupation tax will finally pay their fair share from the EIC. Plus, the district saves money from tax collection and trying to track down people who don't pay. That's a good point.
That is
some of that money never gets collected.
We do not see it. No.
Or you just chase your tail trying to collect.
Correct. And and using a collection agency requires that we give a portion of what they collect.
You're going to get 30 cents on the dollar, 30 cents on the dollar, something like that. Yeah. Yep. And then Gary Matthias says, what is the future outlook for middle and high school populations? While we're talking about elementary, will they need modular classrooms and future new buildings as well?
That's an excellent question. And the answer is no. When we build this new school, the goal is to move 1 grade level out of each of our buildings except for the high school. Currently, we have enough capacity for about 100 to 150 more students at the high school because we have students that leave the middle school and they will go to DC Tech. So our high school still has some room to grow. It's K through 8. And I know we talked about elementary, but our middle school is also getting larger. Right now, it is the largest building in our district. And so by removing one grade level from each of our buildings, we will have the capacity to grow by about 200 students in all of our buildings for the foreseeable future. So this addresses enrollment for years to come.
Okay. Bill?
Yep.
Yeah, I want to ask the sort of the killer question here, because I think whenever you plan for something like this, you gotta plan for success and then not success with the vote.
Yes.
So what are the consequences this time around, 2025, if this vote doesn't come with the thumbs up result, as far as moving forward with this new building?
Sure. So let me start by saying we are aware that running a school district is only accomplished with the support of our township and residents. Okay, right. We know that. Our goal is not to tax anyone to the point where they can't provide for their family. So we are not just going to build a building and just hope for the best. The property is there, but until we are financially positioned to put a building on it, we are not. However, Deer Path will provide a solution. We're hoping that it's short term because we really want to use that property to generate some revenue, because we need some revenue in the district. So we'll continue to have students there. As far as the remaining trailers, we have floated the idea of putting additional trailers on that Stanley Drive property until we can put a building there. Now that's also going to come at a cost because you have to develop the site. Right now it's just dirt. So you're going to have macadam, you're going to have a driveway, you're going to have all those things. So it's still going to cost us. We would hope that we wouldn't have to pour additional funds into a temporary solution, but rather we use those funds to fund a permanent solution. But if it does not pass, then we're looking at expending additional dollars for another temporary solution.
Right.
Yeah, and
which is money that could be spent on the new building. You just keep throwing money that could be spent on the new building at other temporary solutions. Okay.
Correct.
Now, if things go the way you want them to, and you're able to free up space for other things at Deer Path, are you talking about renting it out to tenants? Is that what you're talking about to generate revenue?
No, we're actually talking about bringing programming that we know has a waiting list, not just in our district, but in the surrounding areas. Yeah, so we're talking about
what kind?
AED-wide programs. Those slots are they're almost $30,000 per seat. And currently we have students that have behavioral issues. We will send them to some of these programs. And both our district and other districts, we're waiting for slots to open. This would allow us to keep our students in the district and save those funds, but also charge tuition for other school districts that we know need those slots.
Now, what kind of program is that again, Dr. Willis?
It's AEDY, so it's like it stands for Alternative Education for Disruptive Youth.
Okay, I thought that was.
So behavioral issues, yep.
Yeah.
We would also bring online a comprehensive cyber program.
Okay.
You know, we have the largest cyber program sitting right in our backyard, and we expend close to $4 million a year in cyber tuition. By expanding our program at Deer Path, it would allow us to bring some of those kids back home, and that's a significant savings. Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
What is the kind of the energy level or the level of commitment from the taxpayers or non-tax, whoever it is in the district, to showing up and attending the monthly school board meetings? You have school board meetings once a month, is that it, or every 2 weeks?
We actually have them twice a month.
Twice a month. Okay, that's the same as Central Dauphin, right, Bill?
Yep.
I think it's twice a month. Yeah. So I stand corrected there. You know, because a lot of times I saw a woman, and Joe Heaton's a friend of mine. Okay.
Yes, yeah.
And only reason I'm going to bring Joe Heaton up is I remember there was a woman that said, who supported Joe Heaton.
Yes.
She said, I wish we got this level of involvement and investment in issues other than football and Coach Heaton, who we all love so much.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Isn't that,
yes.
You would rather, you and the board.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you rather have the gymnasium or the auditorium filled up every 2 weeks?
Yes. So that's one of the, to your point, what is the engagement level? Unfortunately, we don't get a lot of folks that come out to the board meetings regularly, which is one of the reasons why we chose to have meetings to go to each one of the 9 wards.
Right.
Yeah,
That's another one of the reasons why I reached out to you, Joe, to say, look, I see there's chatter online. We're trying to get to the people. If you know how to get to them, I'm happy to come on and answer whatever questions you have. Because we want to answer the questions.
Sure, I can tell that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah. I know a lot of school districts and townships and different people are putting their meetings out online. Do you have an online? You do?
They are. We stream them and they're on our YouTube channel.
Okay,
so
great.
we store them on our YouTube channel so people can go back and look.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not to make you feel any better, but I live in Central Dauphin School District. I pay taxes and I do attend either in person. More often I watch them online, but they don't get a whole lot unless there's a topic or an issue du jour or something that everybody's like ticked off about. It's the same way. And it's a significantly bigger district. And I see the same thing. And Bill and I, we're big on telling people.
Well, the other thing is beyond that, there's no reporting. You know, the Penn Live doesn't go into Susquehanna Township or Central Dauphin.
Nope.
So that's a big problem too. The press is absent. And the press helps fill in that gap. So there's someone there watching and reporting on what's going on, and people could pick up the flavor of what's happening.
Oh, yeah.
So that's a big problem.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to talk about one more thing, and then I'm going to give you a chance for some closing thoughts and kind of a closing, an argument for what you're trying to pass here. And, you know, I'm just going to do like a 180, really. This was the one other question that I believe it was a woman had. And I love this question. I can't stand that this is an issue, but bullying.
Yes.
Okay. That's a 180, isn't it? But I had to ask, ask about it. I was bullied when I was a kid.
Yep. I was as well. Yes.
It's terrorizing. Like, and there's still, I don't know if it's ever going to go away altogether. It kind of is human nature, but what steps are in place or are you guys trying to embrace to try to help with the bullying situation? This is somebody that I believe has a child that is or was being bullied. So it's a firsthand question.
Absolutely. So I'll start with the Safe to Say tip line. That's a statewide tip line that was brought out in partnership with the Sandy Hook Promise. We have that, and a number of our students use that tip line. We're grateful for that. So if a student ever feels like they need help or they're not, or even a parent, they can actually submit a tip and we follow up on all of those tips. So that's one thing. We also have school counselors. We have in our district what we call advisors. So instead of like a homeroom teacher, we have the same teacher that will follow a student the entire time they're in one of our buildings. So if you're at the high school, you're with the same person for 4 years. And so we do that so that they can develop a relationship with at least one caring adult, because research shows that one caring adult relationship can really change the trajectory of a student, both academically and behaviorally. So we have that. We also encourage people to reach out to the superintendent, right? I could be the last line of defense, but I'm also a part of this team. So if you're not being heard at the building level, reach out to me. All of my information is on the website. My secretary, I meet with parents regularly. So if you have our board members, I know they fielded questions, but we have a number of mechanisms throughout. But if families still don't feel like they're being heard, my office is there. Okay. You are not bothering me. That's what I'm here for.
Why do I believe that? I really do. Yeah. So thank you for that. Yeah.
Yes.
Because again, nobody knows unless they've been there what it's like to be bullied. It kind of,
it's horrible.
It kind of screws up everything, for you.
You don't even want to go to school. Like you dread getting up in the morning. Yeah.
Correct.
I've lived it.
Totally agree. Okay. Let's do this. Let's just say we didn't spend the last 44 minutes talking about this. And I just said, Dr. Tamara Willis, I'm going to give you a few minutes just to come on and state your case. Let's do that. I don't care if it takes you 30 seconds or however short or long you want to take here. Why do you guys need to increase taxes? Talk about the tax again, exactly how it's going to be done, just in a nutshell. and what the money would be for and the value that it'll be in the end to the taxpayer that has to foot the bill.
Absolutely. So let me start by just saying thank you guys for having me tonight. You could have said no, but you
Our
did
pleasure.
it, and I
No, we
appreciate
never
that.
would. We never say
I
no.
appreciate that. I'll start by saying that over the last 7 or so years, we've known that this is an issue, and we worked very diligently. We have researched a number of opportunities in order to address this issue, and throughout those 7 years, we have determined that the only way that we're going to address the continual increase in the number of students in our classrooms is to build a new building. I often hear about what Susquehanna Township used to be, right? And what I hope is that our township residents will hear what we are. We are a school district that is very diverse. Love us or hate us, families want to attend our schools.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're here. We are experiencing record enrollment. We have the highest enrollment in the recorded history of this district. And so what that means is in order for us to continue to be competitive in terms of our academic performance, in terms of recruiting teachers and retaining those teachers, we have to provide classrooms that give our children an opportunity to learn. They're not crammed in those rooms. They're not in trailer classrooms. And the only way that we can do that with a 17 square mile township, the only way that we can do that with a very dense and stagnant tax base right now is to seek other ways to fund this new school. And that is through EIT. Making the case for EIT, currently the burden is placed on our homeowners. And we know that with changing housing that is coming into the township, there are many of people who are paying rent, but they're not seeing the tax burden that our homeowners are seeing. This will allow the district to spread some of that ownership to everyone who is in the township. Everyone who has a wage will receive a payroll deduction spread over the course of the year. It won't be that 1 year come up with $300. And we believe this is a fairer way to fund the school district. Do we like to pay taxes? Absolutely not. I don't like to pay taxes, but I do know I'm also in a district that has a higher earned income tax rate. Our district currently has the lowest, if not the lowest, earned income tax rate in the 3 counties, right? So if you go to our website, we have an entire page that shows how we stack up in terms of earned income tax, and we are one of the lowest. If you go to our website, there's also a calculator that will tell you how much this change is going to mean for your home. So we encourage you to go out again and just vote yes if you want to support the district in terms of reducing the overcrowding. If you want to make sure that we can attract teachers and keep them, then we're asking that you vote yes, because our students deserve it. It is not their fault that we are overcrowded. People are coming to our district, and we love that. We also want to make sure that we're providing the best educational opportunities that we can for them.
I'm excited from that. You got me pumped up. I'm in Lower Paxton Township in Central Dauphin School District.
Yes.
But I'm just thinking, boy, if I was over there, I'd be voting yes. And I really would.
We hope so.
And we didn't bring you on here. We didn't bring you on here to agree with you. We didn't bring you on here to make a case for you. But you made a great case for yourself and for the students. In Susquehanna Township School District. And the last thing I want to say, Bill, do you have anything else?
No, I've been very impressed with this. So no.
Let's
thank you.
Extend another invitation for once we get closer to. I think it's November 4th. If I'm not
November
mistaken.
4th.
We might not do a whole show next time, but some of the shows we do, we break up into like 3, 10, or 12 or 15-minute segments. We'll bring you back on just to kind of freshen up the message. How's that sound? Okay.
I'm available. You let me know. We will make it work.
Okay, great. All right, Dr. Tamara Willis, Susquehanna Township School District Superintendent. Glad to know you as a friend now.
Thank you.
keep grinding, keep plugging away. I kind of feel, I do feel like you're doing the right things for the right reasons.
We're trying.
And I think that the school district is fortunate to have you.
Well, thank you so much,
Yep.
Joe and Bill. It's been a pleasure. I appreciate it.
And reach out to us anytime for anything. Okay.
All right. We'll do, and right back at you.
Okay. Thank you.
All
Enjoy
right.
your
Thanks.
evening.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care. Well, Bill, how about that?
Yeah,
Dr.
I mean,
Tamara Willis, man.
she makes a great case for paying a little bit
there's
higher
no
taxes.
doubt. And I was listening. I listened to everything she said, and yeah, she does make a great case for paying higher taxes. Like I just said, it's the right tax or the right thing for the right reasons.
Hey, Joe, do you know Jesse Rawls Sr.?
Yes, he's
on here. He says vote yes.
He's a board member.
He's a board member. Okay,
and
so
a supporter and a supporter of students. Yeah.
Yeah. And Eric Hedenberg also says vote yes on November 5th.
Well, boy, if we could just use this this thread of questions, I think they'd be in good shape. So anyway, yeah, and Bill, you and I, we do come on here and we do our best, and I think we do a great job of being as neutral as possible. But I will say again that Dr. Willis did make a great case for a small increase in taxes. Maybe it's not small to everybody, and I respect that.
Yeah, well, it's not going to be small to high earners. They're going to have.
Right.
But it's still, I don't know did she say what the tax rate is? Is it 1%, 1.5%? I don't know. I don't think she said.
It's earned income tax. Let me just read this, and then we'll move on to your thing. But to make a clean rounding of numbers, this is my friend that's a taxpayer in the township. Okay. I currently pay $270 occupational tax,
right,
one time, and $475 earned income, which is 0.5%, half of a percent out of my check.
Right.
So 0.5.
That's what it is now.
Or that would be 0.05, I guess. Or half of a percent.
It's 0.005 maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Boy,
that's what they're paying.
I didn't help clear that up, did I?
That's what they're paying now. That's what they're paying now.
And
does she say what it's going to go to? What does she say?
From 0.5 to 1.1.
Okay.
0.5 to 1.1. All right.
So it's not huge, but it's going to help the school district out.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So once again, thank you to Dr. Tamara Willis, the Susquehanna Township School District Superintendent, for being a great guest.
Yeah, and we get the chance to meet some nice. We get a chance to meet some really great people on this show.
Yeah,
I tell you,
she's a very impressive. I don't care if she was flipping burgers or hanging drywall or selling real estate or whatever Dr. Willis did or does or would do. She'd probably be an awesome woman. Okay. All right. So let's are we going to shift over to edgy local news, Bill?
I think I have to do something here.
Uh-oh.
I have to change hats if we're going to do this.
Uh-oh.
I got a new fedora. I don't know. You have to tell me whether it looks how it looks. Does this look any better than the other one?
Bill?
Wait a minute.
Exponentially better.
It does?
Exponentially better.
I think I might have to go to the small one. They give me a large, extra large. So I might have to switch this one out.
You don't have a big enough head for a large, extra large.
That's what it is.
And you got that from Amazon?
Yeah, I'm going to have to send it back.
You know how to do that, Bill?
I do, and I have the package right here to do it.
Yeah, they don't even need you to do that. They take it over to Kohl's and and they box it back. It's really simple. Okay.
Okay.
But that is better than the Swiss Alps hat, Bill.
Yeah. Well, folks, why I'm wearing this hat, those of you who are catching on to Banana Ball, the Savannah Bananas, where the owner of the league and the teams wears all yellow. So, and he wears a bowler hat. So I came up with this fedora hat, which has traditionally been tied to journalists, news reporters back in the day, maybe the 20s and 30s and 40s. I'm not sure exactly when, that whenever I show up someplace to meet, once I get one that fits, I'll be wearing a hat. And those who join our reporting force, community members most likely, that we're going to issue them one as well, so that they know we're in the house, keeping an eye on governmental affairs and reporting to the people what's going on.
In an edgy fashion.
What's that?
In an edgy fashion, an edgy manner is the way you're going to be covering local news.
Yeah, we'll call it edgy. But, Lincolnstown Gazette has been, we're going to talk a little bit about Lincolnstown Gazette to wrap up this show. It's been around since like 2006. And this past March, I believe it was, I kicked it back into gear, just doing some things on Facebook. It's only on Facebook. You look up Lincolnstown Gazette, you should be able to find it. This is the fourth iteration, Joe. Can you believe it? Fourth time.
I believe it.
Yeah, and I'm gunning to be the Milton Hershey of the news media, where you have to. How many times? You have any idea how many times Milton tried to get his chocolate business up and running and failed? I don't know for sure.
A lot.
It was multiple times.
You know who else failed a lot, Bill?
Who's that?
Besides you and me,
Colonel Sanders.
Colonel Sanders failed a lot. Abraham Lincoln failed a lot.
Oh, really? Do you know his background? What he failed at?
If you can hold the audience for just a second, this is very interesting. Bill, you're not holding the audience.
I know. What am I supposed to do?
Anyway, I don't want to take up any time with this.
But he did fail at stuff. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, he lost a job.
Well, he lost some elections for sure.
He also failed in business.
Okay.
He had a nervous breakdown. Defeated for Speaker of the House. Defeated for nomination to Congress. Lost renomination.
Well,
defeated for U.S. Senate. Joe. Defeated for nomination. He was just defeated. He failed and was defeated over and over and over and over.
And he kept coming back.
And he kept coming back.
And they say that a key to success, you have to go through failure. I mean, it's almost a necessity. So
that's what Bill Bostic's doing.
Yeah. I mean, for some reason, I have this passion for especially local government because I spent 25 years or so doing it with Penn Live and on my own on local government. My dad was a mayor. My mom was a borough councilwoman. So, and all of the Republican Party in Dillsburg, Pennsylvania met in my family room to work out all the things. So, I mean, I've been around this my whole life, and that's probably where the passion to do reporting. But really what it comes down to is the fabric of our country comes down to the way we have the government set up, that we don't have a king. We have three branches of government at the federal level. And then you have what's called the fourth estate, which is what? The press. The people who devised our democracy, the way our country runs, were very, 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 very smart in that the public through the press could have a watchdog, and they were free to report whatever they wanted to. I mean, of course, you want to be truthful, but there's no restraint there. They can criticize through editorials what public officials do. They can applaud them. They can report factually what's happening. And when you don't have that, the people are losing information. There's no way each of us individually can go to all these meetings, right? And that's when we just talked about that with Susquehanna Township. Not too many people go to the meetings. But if you have a reporter there, you have that backstop that's telling you what's happening. If you're interested, it's there. Right now, Susquehanna Township, Lower Patchen Township, all of Central Dauphin school districts is what's referred to as a news desert. So my goal is to try and eliminate that and find a way to bring back local reporting. Not talking about county or statewide or national, none of that. We're talking about good old local reporting, so you know what's happening close where you're at, right at your town level.
And you're good at it, Bill. You're very good at it.
Yeah, So well, are you going to interview me, or you want me to just to sort of roll out some stuff here?
Well, I want to show the people that this is Lincolnstown Gazette's logo. Okay,
Right.
And I just want to again make the distinction that there is a Linglestown Gazette Sports,
Right.
which when Bill stepped away last time, I kept going, and it's still in operating, and it's doing very well. But Bill is the owner, operator, director. What else? What do you really call yourself there, Bill, at Linglestown Gazette?
Publisher, independent journalist.
Okay, of Linglestown Gazette, and then
Right.
I cover Linglestown Gazette Sports, which is they're completely separate entities now. Okay,
Right.
I want to start with that. So what's your next step? You're back up and running, Bill. I can tell you that right now.
I call what I do because it's only me. There's no way that one person can cover an entire community. I do not cover the school board. So that's an opening right now that has to be filled eventually. But I call it a demonstration project. It sort of tickles you as far as what could happen. I got back into it when our township was in the throes of many controversies. So I was able to easily pick up some things and provide them for the public. Right now, the next step is to, one, start to make some connections in the community, because the only way this is going to work if we have community members who contribute. For example, if there's someone out there that goes to Central Dauphin School District's the board meetings every time, because that's what they do, and they want to do it, they could easily work with me or Linglestown Gazette, Edgy Local News, and become part of it. You don't have to learn how to write articles. I mean, what I'll be putting together is like how to, probably a one evening training thing that would show people how to do it.
Either you're looking for a warm body, right? You're looking for a warm body.
Yeah, at the minimum, a note taker, right? And maybe
okay.
Someone that can write down a quote.
I think you have a lot of it licked if you just care. Like the person that would help you out with that, if they just care a little bit about what they're doing, they're going to be fine at it, right? I think.
Look, I'm the best example. I mean, people think, okay, what do you have to do to? We heard what Dr. Willis said, all the things she had to do to become a superintendent. Mm-hmm. Okay, what do you have to do to be a journalist? Do you have to go to a certain number of classes or have a degree? The answer is no. I went to a 2-year business school, Central Pennsylvania Business School, now Central Penn College, for business management and accounting. And I turned out to be a journalist. Well, how did I do that? I learned by the School of Hard Knocks. I went out and just did it. Was able to. I had some writing ability, and as you do this, the more you do it, if you're really interested, you'll pick up what needs to happen. And in this situation, you have someone like me who can come alongside you and help you. You don't have to write the story, but pick up the key things that happen, take some notes, maybe get a quote or two, and we're in business. So it's not that difficult to do. You're just basically telling a story of what happened and explaining it so people understand it. So I literally anyone that could string together a few words or take notes, could be a correspondent for a community reporting operation like this. So that's part of it, having to get people to come in and work with us. It could be the school board. It could be the restaurant, retail scene. It could be some sports, maybe combining with Linglestown Gazette Sports in some way, possible. All these things could be, if we get the help and interest, we can add these things to Linglestown Gazette.
Everything the other part Bill, falls under, there's almost like only 3 umbrellas. Well, let's say if sports is 1, then 4. You have local politics, which is at the municipality or borough level, school board as well. You have, let's just say, sports. Then you have kind of like an arts and leisure thing, right? And then you have a pop culture, and a pop culture that covers a lot. So there's kind of 4 arms there that you're going to try to address or bring to the people, deliver to the people.
Yeah, and you see some elements of that on Linglestown Gazette currently on Facebook. I mean, this morning I put out a report about a traffic jam in the village because there was some gas line work being done, and there was a big backup in the village, and people found that valuable. But that's just an example. Right. I mean, all kinds of things that could be done. The other part The other challenge is I would say between $20,000 and $25,000 to get the infrastructure put together to run a site, so I don't have to hire people. And to back up a second, this is a nonprofit organization, and I'm not looking to take a salary. I'm moving towards leaving paid work, and my wife and I have a retirement set up. I don't need to have any more income. I want to use this as a gift to the community, as a service that's going to be in place long after I'm done and I leave this earth. That's what I'm trying to plan here. And so I need to do some fundraising. When you think about businesses, and Joe, you're a businessman. I mean, the $20,000 or $25,000 to start a business, just get the basic things set up so you can move forward, is a drop in the bucket. I mean, that is a small amount of money.
Yes.
From a business perspective. Don't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. You don't really need any opening order. You're not buying product that you need. You don't have to have inventory. A lot of your stuff's kind of more on the IT side, right? The tech side. Talk about that.
What I'm going to be using is the biggest expense is going to be to introduce artificial intelligence into the operation, so that if we want to communicate with people, we don't have to have secretaries or a phone bank or anything like that. The AI is getting advanced to the point where it can interact with people and streamline these operations. That's going to be the biggest expense. Approximately, with the one firm I'm looking at, about $15,000. So, I mean, that's the next thing, and that's going to require getting some of the ideas in my head down on paper and interacting with people and all that. I mean, my hope is that this can be up and running in 2026 in a more legitimate way. We have some momentum. This week we had what I call a toasting event at the Underdog on Jonestown Road next to Ollie's, and I had, using some creative accounting, I had 8 people show up, which I was very encouraged about, because I mean, you think about people, you're asking them to get out of their home on a Monday or Tuesday night, whatever it was.
People don't like leaving their homes anymore.
No. So to get 8 people, I was very pleased. You know, that was, including my friend and your friend, Coach Glenn McNamee showed up.
Yeah,
that was special.
Remember, we used to run around. We used to run around Monday nights, Wednesday nights, Thursday nights, Sunday night with equipment in our cars. We'd set up equipment, microphones and cameras, and interview coaches and student athletes. And boy, that was a different time, wasn't it?
You're talking about 7 or 8 years ago.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
We were all in, weren't we? But my point is that things have gotten different. It's not just us that are sitting in here. You know, you, me, and let's just say Dr. Willis tonight was our guest. 3 different people at 3 different locations. It used to be all at one on-site location, and that's kind of going away.
So that's the quick overview. I mean, let's finish with this. What I'm so passionate about is that, you know, we have so many communities across our country that don't have local news, and that has to be repaired in some way, because democracy depends on having. Maybe you're never going to get 100% of the population educated and up to speed on what's going on in their community, but you need to have a substantial percentage of people that when it comes time to vote, when it comes time to make key decisions in your community, you just don't have 4 or 5 elected officials doing it in isolation. There's no one at the meetings, no one giving input, no one knows what's going on. You end up having, in reality, de facto kings, because they're just running it on their own based on what they think is best.
Right.
So the only way to involve the community is to have an organization like Lingostown Gazette, Edgy Local News, and so you have a way of informing the public. If we don't get our press back, I am very concerned about the longevity of our country, because it's going to go in the wrong direction.
Once they know they got you lazy, disengaged, uninterested, once they know they have you that way, that's when it's time for them to take over and kind of prey on the situation, right, Bill?
Yeah, and I think that's actually happening to some degree
Yeah.
right now in front of us at the national level.
Yeah.
And then you bring it back here, Joe. We've had so many problems this calendar year with Dauphin County. A lot of controversy because of things that happened. No one was watching the county. You had long-term elected officials that were doing things maybe not illegal but unethical at some level, and it all caught up to them this year. And then we had the same thing in our township. No reporter, no one keeping track of stuff, and things went wacko whenever we had a key person resign, and people started to get angry, and things went really in a bizarre way. So part of that is our fault as citizens because we didn't have the interest to follow this stuff, and plus we didn't have any kind of reporting. So that's why I'm so passionate about it, and I'm actually thinking bigger than just Lincolnstown. My hope is that we can get something up and running and have Lincolnstown Gazette, Edgy Local News, be a model that could be taken to other communities and show them a way. Maybe they're not going to follow everything right from that we do here, but they have a way, basic elements they can put in play and get the press, get the media back into their community.
Yeah, so Bill, if you can make it easy to follow, understandable. Right. That they're not, breaking rocks and digging ditches, which so far that's the case you're making, just to come in with an interest, with a willingness to get involved, a willingness to be open-minded and to learn a little bit, and you'll be fine. Whoever you are, you're going to be fine. And I'll tell you what, it's kind of fun, Bill, to cover news, to report on news.
Well, here's the thing. Lincolnstown Gazette was named after I used Gazette because I knew that Benjamin Franklin, down in nearby Philadelphia, he was part of the Pennsylvania Gazette based in Philadelphia. And it was a key publication at one time. And he used that to help promote some of his ideas for various things. He did all kinds of community service things. Like, for example, I think the fire company, maybe the post office, all these things he had a hand in, but he used that to promote his ideas. And so that's why I picked the Gazette.
It's a good name. I like it.
Yeah, Lincolnstown Gazette. And I sort of lost my train of thought, but I lost my train of thought.
Okay, well then we're going to wrap this up, Bill. Let's thank once again our wonderful This and That the podcast sponsors, Rickabaw's Electric, Be a Hero, Hire a Hero, Team PA, AAU Basketball, and of course the American Legion on Mountain Road, the Post 272 Robert H. Hoke Post. Thank you for your continued support, allowing us to get this podcast up and running. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate Dr. Tamara Willis, Susquehanna Township School District Superintendent Dr. Tamara Willis, who I think, again, I'll say it again, she made a pretty darn good case tonight for some increased taxes to help foot the bill for a new elementary school building. And we have upcoming next week, I'm not going to get into all the shows, but we have Julie Walker from the Peyton Walker Foundation. And you don't want to miss that, folks. This foundation is saving lives. It really is. It has to do with heart health and AEDs, which are what are they, Bill?
They're automatic defibrillators.
Correct. Yeah. Thank you for that. So anyway, looking forward to seeing Julie again. She always comes in with a lot of energy, a big smile on her face, and a lot of passion for what she does and what her foundation does. So, Bill, anything else?
No, if anyone has any questions about Lincolnstown Gazette or what I'm doing, my phone number is everywhere. If you look on the Facebook, you'll be able to find it. No one calls me, but it's there.
Hey, Bill's fun to work with. Give it a shot. You can leave, you can quit, right? Right, Bill?
Yeah.
Let's just give it a shot. See if you like it.
Earlier, Joe, is if someone has even a little bit of public service mindedness, they want to give back to the community. Correct. This is a great way of doing it.
I agree.
Great way.
All right, Bill. Thank you very much. Thank you to the viewers. Let's see. We have two more comments here. let's see. I just want to see if there are new ones. No, they had to do with the last topic. So
Someone
I'm
said,
sorry.
Do you cover the Savannah bananas on your show?
Oh,
they are everywhere. They're everywhere. They're on YouTube. You can watch the games live for free. So you don't need us to cover that.
If we did not get to your question, which I think some people came in a little bit after we went through the questions, we're going to bring Dr. Willis back on again. Not for a couple months. I mean, 2 or 3 months between now and the election, which comes at the first Tuesday after the first Monday of November, right, Bill?
We talking about the election day?
Yeah.
November 5th, apparently.
5th, yeah. Isn't that my civics class? I think I learned the first Tuesday after the first Monday. So it can't be on the 1st, is what I'm saying.
No, I guess
right?
not.
Okay. Bill, thank you.
Yeah, give me a call afterwards, please, Joe.
I will. You got it. Good night, everyone. Thanks for your support.
Thank you.